I love one-shots. I like the idea of having a beginning, a middle, and an end to one story in 1 or 2 sessions. I also like the idea of people being able to try out a class or new class features they might not have been able to try out in the past. Or maybe one of your players got sick and one of your other players is like, hey, I want to try out being the game master for once, and you hand them a one-shot and they'll be able to run a session for you in a matter of minutes and sometimes a few short hours. Maybe you want to use a one-shot in a long-lasting campaign as a bit of an in-betweener, or maybe sometimes you don't really have time to prepare and you just sit down with one of those one-shot booklets, read it cover to cover in about an hour, sometimes 2 hours, know exactly what is going on, and you're ready to run a session. So here are the 10 best one-shots that I've played. Hi there fellow roleplayers and game masters. First things first, I want to quickly talk about what a one-shot actually is. In theory, a one-shot is an adventure you can play within one session of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, that is really a relative term because a session of Dungeons and Dragons can be one thing for one person and a completely other thing for the other person. For example, a session of Dungeons and Dragons for me is a typical Sunday afternoon from like 1 o'clock to 4 or 5 o'clock, like maybe 3, maybe 4 hours of play, and after that I'm completely devastated when I'm the game master, so I cannot take it for much longer after that because I need food and water and drinks and everything. But for another person, they do sessions sometimes 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. I know people who go through the entire night playing Dungeons and Dragons, which is of course the complete opposite, and there's everything in between. So what I want to talk about today are short adventures you can potentially play within 1 or 2 sessions, and for me that will be 1, 2, and maybe 3 sessions. These are short adventures that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and can just be put anywhere into a campaign, can be used for like a weekend of Dungeons and Dragons, just those adventures that start and stop within one confined story. So without further ado, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and remember, these are in no particular order. So guess which one I want to talk about first. You've been on my channel for a while now, so you know it's going to be Shore of Dreams, my absolute favorite one-shot of all time. First of all, it is a one-shot, meaning that you can play it in a matter of hours. 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on how much the players want to explore the city and talk to NPCs. Basically, there is this inn, the Shore of Dreams, and the innkeeper, this bard with her instrument, has the answers and has the location to a hidden treasure from a ship that has crashed somewhere near the rocks, and your players enter this very beautiful and thematic city, and they kind of get to know like the guards and the people there and some shops and everything. But then they go into the Shore of Dreams, which is the inn, and they get to know like the location of the treasure, which is all very straightforward. But this thing has an incredible plot twist. I don't want to exactly say what it is, but it involves this person. The plot twist, I've played this 3 or maybe 4 times for different parties, and every time my players fell for it and their characters got completely pissed off. The players didn't, they really enjoyed it, but the characters got pissed off because everybody each time fell for it. And it is written, the story is nothing really special. The setting maybe isn't like really special, and the plot twist isn't like really special, but all of it is brought in a very simple and very thematic way, and that's what I really like. I don't dislike cliches. Actually, as a matter of fact, I like cliches, but they have to be brought in a good way. The artwork in here is absolutely, I have to say, stunning. One of the best pieces of artwork in a one-shot. And it is for level 5 all the way up to level 7, but I often play for 3 to 5, and I just lower some of the armor class and some of the hit points. You know what to do for lowering the difficulty class. It's really good for that. It's really good for anybody who didn't prepare. I really, really advise you to pick this one up. Also, it is written by Florian Emmerich and JVC Parry, so you know it's going to be good. Talking about Florian Emmerich and JVC Parry, this time they got the help of Ashley Warren, and the trio has created Warriors of Sehanine. Warriors of Sehanine is a really cool adventure in a lot of ways. It does a lot of things really, really good. The premise of it is a 3rd level adventure all the way up to 5th level. The premise of it is there is a keep, Ravenglade Keep, which has been seized by a dragon. Elves used to live there, but then a black dragon came in and it seized this keep, and the elves fought the dragon. They really fought to the last man to get that dragon out of there, but they didn't succeed. Like, only a few people survived, like 3 or 4 people survived, depending on how you want to play the adventure. 3 or 4 elves survived, and they are now looking for the help of the party. Now, the cool thing about this is one of the elves had 2 children. They still have 2 children, and they had to hide them in the keep. So the children are now hidden in the keep where there is a black dragon, and the elves don't know if the children are still alive, or they've been eaten, or they're now the slaves of the black dragon, or whatever. They're just like, please go and get my children because I need closure, or whatever. So it is up to the players to go through this kind of like dark magical forest and go to this keep and have a bunch of really cool adventure moments before they get to the keep. Like, they have to jump over stuff, and they have to fight different kinds of monsters, and even solve some riddles and stuff. And they go into the keep, and they have to defeat a wounded black dragon. So this adventure does 3 things very well. First of all, your players at 3rd, 4th, or 5th level are already capable of fighting off a black dragon because you're using a wounded black dragon. It is also already has like a lower armor class. It has lower hit points. It is like lowered a little bit, but it's still very difficult. And as a matter of fact, my online party, my Patreon party that I played this with, they kind of like died. Like, one person was able to run away, and we still don't know where that character is, but they died. They got eaten. They got obliterated by this black dragon. So the players have to be like really smart about it and try to defeat that black dragon and save the children. Another thing that it does really well is it has a bunch of random encounters your players can encounter before moving to the keep. And a lot of adventures do that. But the way Warriors of Sehanine does this is almost all, like 80% of the random encounters truly make sense in the story, in the general overarching story. Oftentimes when your players move from A to B, they get like these random encounters, like a troll shows up, or a hydra shows up, or whatever shows up, or a bunch of orcs show up. But every time they get a random encounter, almost time they get a random encounter out of this book, it makes sense in the story. Actually, your players get to know more from the story each time they encounter one of the random encounters, and that's a really smart way of designing a one-shot, a short adventure. Another thing that it does really well is you actually, as a dungeon master, get to steer how long this adventure takes. If you only have 1 session, you can play this in 1 session because your players will be able to find the keep in like an hour of going through a forest. Maybe you get like 1 random encounter, maybe 2 random encounters. If you have 2 or 3 sessions, you can do all of the random encounters, like really expand up on the story. And then it even has a side quest that you can play that also expands on this in the story, that expands the story a lot. And you can decide to play it, spanning this adventure to 3, 4, maybe even 5 sessions of play. So this is like a really truly versatile adventure. You can also place anywhere in a campaign as long as you have a dark magical forest. Talking about dark magical forest, Shadows of the Dust Queen is next. I've played this so many times that I probably be able to play it by heart. Like, I don't even need the booklet probably to play it. That's how much I played it. I have had this in my possession for a long time, and I keep grabbing this when I want to introduce people to Dungeons and Dragons. Basically, there is this magical forest, and there is this tower, and the Dusk Queen has taken this tower as her home, right? And she now enslaves the entire forest. The plants, the creatures, like even the water, and even some parts of the swamp are all enslaved and listening to the Dusk Queen. But some of these really want the Dusk Queen out of there because no sunlight even comes in there, all of that stuff. And it is up to the players to actually go and stop the Dusk Queen. Now, in order to stop her, they need a magical mirror, which is a magic item. But the magical mirror exploded at some point in the past, and it sent shards of this mirror all across this this forest, right? And it is up to the players to go and find all of these shards and then put them together to form a magic item and to defeat the Dusk Queen. And it really is like it is like this Legend of Zelda feeling, dark version of Legend of Zelda feeling adventure where you need to go around the forest and go and grab all of these shards in order to make this one magic item to defeat the bad guy. The battle with the bad guy is still a really difficult battle, but the only way to approach her is with this magic item. And they really do a good job of giving every shard another way, like finding every shard is completely different. One involves fighting a big worm, the other one involves fighting a really difficult battle with like a shadow dragon. Like, oh my god, it is my favorite battle of all time. Like, I've even put that one encounter in different campaigns without even running this adventure. I just take that encounter with the stat blocks and put it into a campaign. That's how cool I think it is. There's also role-playing encounters where you have to talk to a bunch of, I think they're gnolls or hobgoblins. Hobgoblins, yes. And even mermaids. So you need to go underwater and grab this shard of the magic item, but the mermaids kind of want to talk to you, and they're like friendly mermaids, but they want something done, you know, all of that stuff. So there's role-playing in there, there's combat in there, there's puzzle solving in there, and there is a bad guy in here. I've been able to play this in one session once, but it was quite a long session, and I've played this in 2 sessions a freaking lot, and it's just something that you need to pick up if you want, like, really want a one-shot or like a short adventure that you can just take off of your shelf and play, because reading this will take you about an hour, maybe 2 hours, and it's really, really good. Staying with Kobold Press, because I own a ton of their content, I want to talk about the Prepared booklets. Prepared 1 and Prepared number 2. They say they are a dozen adventures for 5th edition, but they aren't really adventures as much as they are encounters with like a little bit of story tied to them. There is a difference. Like, these are encounters you can place into any campaign if you are under-prepared as a dungeon master, but they also have like a little bit of story and a little bit of lore to every encounter. But the reason I want to talk about this is because it has one of my favorite plug-and-play encounters ever. Like, I use this a lot for introducing new players to the game, and that is the Impregnable Fortress of Dib. It is the first encounter in here, and it is the title encounter of the book. It is the Impregnable Fortress of Dib. Basically, Dib is this dude who stole this card. They are goblins, of course. They stole this card, flipped it upside down, and now have it as their own fortress. And they even have like a small dungeon in here, and Dib is sitting here on his throne, and they are causing mayhem all across the country, and everybody's like, there is this flipped upside down card somewhere that has a bunch of goblins, and we need you to get rid of them because they're really annoying and they're killing our cows and our sheep and our daughters or whatever. And your players go in there, and of course every group sets fire to this thing. Like, every group sets fire. Even like the new people in D&D who have just introduced to D&D set fire through this thing. They read their character sheet and they're like, I have an adventurer's bag. I have a torch. Let's just torch this place. It's really cool. Like, the goblins have like holes. They can use spears to like do damage to people who are trying to set fire to this thing. It's a really cool thing, and it even has a follow-up, because the one of the adventures in here is actually Dib, who kind of like survived the first encounter, who wants revenge on the players, and he has this doomsday wagon. He has this wagon that he's built. With like it's a cart or whatever you want to call it, with like axes and spears all across the sides and everything. Is a doomsday wagon. He calls it a doomsday wagon, and he just uses this to roll downhill into a marketplace full of people and to do kind of like an attack to all these people because he wants revenge. And he's like, on this cart, going down. It's really cool to do this encounter first, then like starting your campaign and not mentioning Dib again for a few sessions, and your players are around town, and maybe they are in the marketplace buying some apples and healing potions or whatever, and then suddenly Dib comes in with his doomsday wagon. I've done this a crap ton of times, and every time it was really, really funny. The third and last book by Kobold Press I want to mention is Midgard Sagas. Midgard Sagas is a hardcover book with a bunch of sagas. placed in the Midgard campaign setting. You can place these everywhere, of course, but they really suit the Midgard feel and the Midgard style. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because it has one encounter called Madman at the Bridge. Madman at the Bridge, I've played this twice, and it is really an exciting encounter. It is a one-shot. It has its own story. It has its own beginning, middle, and end. Will take about 1 session to play, but it is also one complete combat encounter with a ticking clock. Of course, the ticking clock is more of a feeling thing you convey to your players, and every time when I play this, my players are on the edges of their seat because they don't want this bridge to blow up and kill a ton of people. So basically what there's going on, what is going on is there is this bridge that, you know, those bridges that go open and close, I know the English word for that, and there is this room with like the machinery that does the thing that it opens and closes. There is this madman within this room, and he's trying to blow up the boiler. The boiler works with steam power, and there's like all kinds of like stuff coming out of this room, and people are like gathering around this bridge because there's noises and like even like screws and stuff come jumping out of this thing, and there's a lot of like smoke coming out, and everyone's like, what's going on? But the truth is, there is a madman within this thing, and he's ready to blow this thing up and then kill all the people that came gathering around, destroying the bridge, destroying a lot of property, killing a lot of people. And it is your players come into the city at the moment when this is happening, and your players are like, what the crap, we need to deal with this, and they have to fight their way through a bunch of guards, have to find their way into this boiler room, and in the boiler room they have to fight a bad guy, and then they have to do some puzzle solving in order to like cool down the boiler. So everything is within one combat encounter, but it has these layers, and there is this ticking clock because the boiler can explode, dealing out a ton of damage to all people around it, potentially even killing a few of the party members. It is truly one of the most exciting combat encounters you can have, and it takes about 1 complete session to do, and it is so ridiculously cool. Now let's talk about horror, because it's almost Halloween, right? You know, when the sun starts to shine, it's almost Halloween. Happy Jack's Funhouse by Jeff C. Stevens. Creepy clown horror, right? I want to do a quick disclaimer. I have a love-hate relationship with horror. I absolutely hate, I despise being on the receiving end of horror. I cannot read, watch, or hear about horror. It completely freaks me out. But I absolutely love being on the other end, the storytelling end. I love being the creepy clown that laughs a little bit like this. Happy Jack is perfect for that. Happy Jack's Funhouse, basically, it is a creepy old clown who has taken 12 children, if I'm not mistaken, into his own funhouse. And this funhouse is a pocket dimension. It is set up in a town, and everybody's like, yeah, this is Funhouse. Happy Jack is in town, it's Funhouse, and everybody's like dancing, doing all this stuff. And but he has abducted like 12 children, taking them in there, and now this funhouse kind of like, it completely changed into a horror version of this clown house, and it is up to the players to go in there and have all of these like mini adventures. They go into the wardrobes where pieces of clothing come to life. They have to go into this this pit of balls, and they have to go like into the basement and sewer system, like all of that stuff. And there's like moving rooms, everything you expect from a funhouse, but all at the same time people are chasing you with axes and chainsaws. Figure of speech, of course. So it's really creepy, and then they find Happy Jack in his own pocket dimension, which is like an open field with a tree, and he's playing with these children, and your players actually find out that Happy Jack is also more than meets the eye, and he's like this old and lonely dude. So there's like 2 sides to it. It's really, really good. It's really, really creepy. Really, when you make your room a little bit dark, right, and you turn on this creepy carnival music, and you do this adventure, people really creep the fuck out. Now, a really cool thing about this is at the end of this adventure, there is this magic item, which is a satchel you can wear, which is the Funhouse. If you open it, it becomes a Funhouse, like a real Funhouse, like lily daddy daddy Funhouse. So after the adventure, one of the players might want to add this Funhouse to their collection. I absolutely love it for that reason. Another one is Annalise's Revenge. This is actually a follow-up to Happy Jack's Funhouse, because Annalise is a character in Happy Jack's Funhouse, and she wants revenge for the death of Happy Jack. So she does kind of basically, it's the same thing but different. It's again the same thing, but it is in a theater. Your players go to the theater, they go backstage, they go to also in the wardrobes, they go also to the attic, to the basement, wherever. It's kind of the same thing all over again. So this is perfect. Happy Jack is perfect to play at Halloween 1 year, and then the next year you play Annalise's Revenge, because Annalise is back and she wants freaking revenge for the death of her like her partner. Like Happy Jack is kind of the Joker and she's like Harley Quinn-esque, but it's all very different. Another one also by Jeff C. Stevens, and all of these are written by like Ramley Farr and Jeff C. Stevens, by the way. Blanksy's Toy Shop. This is completely different. Blanksy, by the way, also a character from Happy Jack Funhouse, but there is this toy shop that kind of is a horror version of Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium. So I've played this once and I really like it. I have, by the way, reviews of all this stuff. And the reason I would just want to skip through these is because they're all in the Dungeon Masters Guild. They're all by the same creators. And another reason is you can get a few of these in a Freak Show collection. Freak Show collection is a collection of 3 adventures, all from the same universe, the Happy Jack universe, if you want. Happy Jack's Funhouse, Annalise's Revenge, and the other one is called the Madhouse of Tasha's Kiss. And you can buy them in a very cool looking physical version of the Freak Show collection. And it even gives you like new monsters and madness trackers and stuff you can place in your Curse of Strahd or Ravenloft game. Really cool. I just wanted to talk about this as like kind of a collection. Now, the toy shop, Blanksy's Toy Shop, does not come with this, but you get 3 very cool adventures, potentially in a physical copy, which is really well worth it. And for me, if I ever play horror, for me, Jeff C. Stevens is always, and Ramley Farr, of course, is always the person to go to. And last but not least, an Ogre and His cake. But Mr. Dusk, this is for kids. Why are you covering this? Well, exactly because of that reason. First of all, it is for kids. Second of all, it is a one-shot. Third of all, it is amazing. And fourth of all, it goes to charity. Like, whatever you pay for this goes to charity. An Ogre and His Cake is a introductory one-shot campaign for kids ages 5 and up. Now, this differentiates for every kid, of course, but basically there is this kid in a village that has a birthday party, and the ogre steals their cake and takes it away to its cave, and the kids want to go and investigate, and they find this ogre with this cake, but they find out that the ogre is actually not that evil. He's just very, 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 very lonely. Now the kids have like this choice going on where they can like defeat the ogre, kick its ass, or they can like try to bring the ogre to the village, and the ogre can then work in the village and live in the village and actually make friends with the people in the village, because that's all the ogre ever wanted. Now the cool thing about this is that whatever you pay for this, so if you pay 5 euros for the PDF or 11 or 12 euros for the softcover, whatever, all of this goes to charity. I'm saying all of this, which is 50%, because 50% always goes to the guild itself. Themselves. The guild takes 50% of whatever you pay for themselves and gives the other 50% to the creator or creators. All of those royalties go to charity, which is really, really cool. And another thing is, if you click right here, you get a pay what you want version. So they say our suggested price €5, but if you want to give like a lot of money to, I'm not gonna do this, of course, to charity, you can put some more, like $1 or more into charity or whatever. And it is really fun. It is a really fun, cool adventure that I cannot wait to play with my kid, who's 3 right now. Just few more short years, and then I'll get to play this with him, and I will let you know what he thinks. And those are my 10 favorite one-shots that I played. And I know there are tons and tons and tons more one-shots out there. And as a matter of fact, I even have way more one-shots than this. And there's probably one-shots out there that I haven't played that are ridiculously cool. So make sure to put that in the comments. These are just the ones from the one-shots that I played that I really think are worth your money. So if you're interested in them, make sure to click the link in the description below. And until next video, bye-bye. And if you're still watching, comment below with what is your favorite dinosaur?